Okay, are we waiting on you? We're ready. All right, we'll call the meeting in order. Tiffany, please take the roll.
Present.
Councilwoman Margoa. Present. Councilman Kirby.
Present.
Councilman Sanders.
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
President, let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. Before we get to anything on this agenda, Council, I'd like to add, we already have an executive session, but I'd like to add subsection F to that as well. All right, with that, let's start the public hearing. So we're going to start with public hearing number 1, public hearing on the increased recreation and swimming pool fees. Would anybody like to get up and speak for or against this? Come on down.
Sorry, sit here.
Yep, sit there and sign in on this one, for or against.
It doesn't say for or against on the sheet.
Just sign, that's good.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Frum. I am a resident of Elmore County, and I'm here to comment on the proposed rate increase, which I'm opposed to for the pool. Starts out kind of strong. Shame on you. The children in our community went nearly 5 years without access to a public pool, and after only its second summer, City Council is trying to make it inaccessible yet again. And also, shame on you for hosting the hearing tonight. It's the first day of school for Mountain Home School District. How can you expect active and honest public discourse when impacted families can't even be in attendance due to sports and other scheduling conflicts? Families in Mountain Home are struggling. A majority of our elementary age students are low income. This information comes from the Idaho Department of Education lunch eligibility data by district. 58.95% of the students attending East Elementary School are low income. 58.64% of the students attending North Elementary School are low income. And 59.6% of the students attending West Elementary School are low income. This means that over half of the families in our community with young children are struggling financially. If families cannot afford food for their children, they definitely cannot afford doubling the cost per child to swim. And I shouldn't have to remind City Council start dates for schools when we're holding hearings. I shouldn't have to explain to City Council why the proposed rate increase is bad for families. And I shouldn't have to remind the City Council that we're a low-income community, and raising rates on resources used by our children hurts everyone. Everyone deserves access to clean, safe, and affordable recreation opportunities. And it doesn't matter if you're a senior doing water aerobics, or me, a retired college athlete taking advantage of top swim, or a child playing mermaids in the pool. So saying vote no on rate increases for the public pool. Let's keep our children active and summer's fun and affordable. Thank you.
Anybody else like to?
Hello, I'm Derek Borges. Commenting on the pool, I'm opposed to the increase of fees. I think increasing the fees in the current economic trouble that the entire U.S. is going through is definitely a punch down that kids do not deserve right now. $2 may not seem like a lot to a lot of us, but it is significant, especially those who are on fixed incomes, those who are on the line of poverty. This is one of the very few cheap and easily accessible locations for kids to go to, not only to swim during one of the hottest months that we've had on record. It's also a way of building community and connection, and kids need that right now. And I know we have a lot of lovely parks, but lovely parks isn't the foundation of connection for people. It's easily accessible, cheap access to amenities. We all know that we have a mental health problem, And it's a lot more than just going to the pool, but I think removing access to the pool to a lot of families is just one more thing that I don't think they deserve right now. If we can afford it, if the city can subsidize it, I think that would be the method that would show that the city is here for the community. Yeah, that's all I have. Thanks.
Anybody else? What else?
Hello, my name is Stephen Namath. I'm here to give my 2 cents about the pool. I know a lot of people here as well. I'd like to start off by saying I'm not necessarily here to speak for or against the prices. While I prefer to see that this is proposed as a user price increase as opposed to a tax increase for all residents, that's not really why I'm here. My point is to discuss a request for the Parks and Rec to open the pool for more months throughout the year. My daughter leaves every summer to go visit family, which gives her absolutely no time at the pool before she's gone. She gets back in early August and only has a couple weeks to swim before the pool is closed down for the season. Last year, our family really benefited from the pool staying open later into the fall, and I know the city benefited from the entry fees that we were paying. Lots of people like to complain about the golf course being a drain on city resources, even though it's an amenity. Maybe it's not so bad that the pool team's trying to recoup some of the losses that come with managing a public amenity, and proposing that pool attendees cover the difference rather than pinning it on every taxpayer by pulling it out of the city budget. I've heard in the past that our pool can't be open for more months of the year because of trouble finding lifeguards. Perhaps if this rate increase is going through, maybe the pool will be able to hire 1 or 2 more lifeguards to supplement additional operations, and we can take advantage of all the warm summer months that we're blessed with here in Mountain Home. Our town spent a lot of money and waited 5 years for a brand new pool that isn't even open 5 months of the year, and I think that's an issue worth looking into. Thank you.
Thanks, you.
My name is Lisa. I have 3 children under 5, and we have loved the pool this summer. We've really enjoyed it. We spent a lot of time there. It's been great for our family. I'm not actually, like the gentleman from here, to beg you to not increase rates, though that would be wonderful. My main concern is that if rates increase any amount, whether it be a little or a lot, I think the training of the lifeguards needs to improve as well. We did a couple of sessions of swimming lessons, especially with my son. His first session instructor, she was great. She was beautiful. She did a fantastic job. He learned so much. He grew a lot. Fantastic. In his second session, he had 2 different instructors, and to be quite frank, neither of them were very good. I spent a lot of years teaching martial arts to kids, so I'm familiar with teaching kids. And those instructors did not do a very good job. They were not super attentive. I signed my son up to learn how to swim, not just to have fun. And in one class, I noticed that he was playing with a squirty toy for half an hour. And he was not in the parent-child class. He's in actual class. I wanted him to be learning things. Another swim instructor, he had her for about a week. She was far more interested in flirting with the other lifeguards and showing off how long she could hold her breath than in teaching the 2 4 or 5-year-old boys in her class. That's not a group you can turn your back on. It's not a group you can turn your back on. And so I would like to see, regardless of what happens with prices, that the swim instructors receive a little more training, a little more knowledge on how to manage a class, how to teach a class, how to be engaging for a class. And I don't know if there's something like, it sounds very critical, and I know they're just high school kids that they're doing a review of some kind and filter out. Let's find the ones who are really good at it, who are really passionate at it, because we can't waste time with the ones who aren't the best. So I would like the lifeguards to have training. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to get up and speak for or against?
Rod Dudley. With all the comments that I received earlier throughout the last week, I wanted to comment on a common thread, and that is many people, although it won't affect everyone, but when looking at the average income for Mountain Home, it's only $58,000 per household, according to the state statistics. If you have a family of 3, and they each go to the pool 3 times a week, they're looking at $36 a week for each of them. I mean, for all 3. That's a little tough for a family that makes very little. It's not like there's been several comments on, well, when the pool was closed down during 4th of July, and the kids had nowhere to go. And of course there was every excuse as to why it was closed down, and yet the golf course was still open. So the comments for the golf course were, bring the kids out to that and let them play golf. If parents can't afford even a $36 9 visits to the pool for several hours, how are they going to afford a golf tee at the driving range? The kids are not being represented fairly. The kids have nothing, really to do. It isn't the city's place to build businesses that give them something to do. However, when you've got it, and when the city has spent so much money building these amenities, we're all paying for it. Many people had commented on, well, why are we having to pay for it? Because we're not working, we have no kids. That is called paying it forward, just like we are right now at our age. And I'd like to see a little more compassion for the families that have little. And I know that you guys are not blind to that. There's weeks that we come here for the chamber meeting, and there's a line down the street for the food bank. That's hard to see. There's better things that we can do for our kids. Now the daily pass or the daily entrance, for me it's not as probably a big a deal, but it is for some, right? What the challenge is some of those other fees are outrageous. Tripling some of them, which will only cause fewer or less use. And that is up to you guys to decide if that's the best way to go. Because very few people have parties that involve lots of people. So we've got empty parks for that, right? So we can't use it to the price increase to just justify paying for that pool. We all pay for it. And that's really all I have to say. I really want the kids to have somebody stand up for them, let them have a social life that they didn't have during COVID. And now we all have turned to our laptops and computers, and they're suffering, as we all are. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak for or against pool recreation swimming pool fees? All right, we're gonna close the public hearing down. We're gonna run down to public hearing number 2 on the agenda. Public hearing on increase the tie-down fees at the Mountain Home Airport. Would anybody like to come forward and speak for or against?
a question we were going to present to the council. Is this the time, or should we wait till after this?
Come down right now. This is your public hearing, for or against.
All right, Chris, take one of those, pass it down to the council and the mayor. Please.
Floor yours, gentlemen.
Okay, I'm Ted Thompson. I'm the commander of Payroll It's Composite Squad in the Civil Air Patrol. And we have Will Marshall here. He's our director of cadet, or deputy commander for cadets. And we have a presentation of Will's going to give. We're here to answer any questions you have about Civil Air Patrol in our area.
Thank you, Ted, Mr. Mayor, and Council. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon. I'm here primarily to tell you a little bit about the Civil Air Patrol program, specifically the cadet program, since I run that, and to advocate why we would like to ask that the Council consider the Airport Advisory Committee's recommendation to waive the tie-down fees for Civil Air Patrol. I will be brief and will not give you an entire history of Civil Air Patrol. Nobody wants that. But Civil Air Patrol is a congressionally chartered, federally funded part of the Air Force Auxiliary. We have three main mission sets that we serve. The first is what most people think of when they think of Civil Air Patrol, and that's emergency services. In the olden days, that meant we went out and looked for crashed airplanes. That's not really as much of a thing anymore, but we do go out and look for lost people quite a bit. In fact, in the 3 years that I've been here, every year we've had at least one, and in the last few years we've had two real-world searches of Air Force-funded missions of us going out and looking for people. Recently in July, we had our most recent mission. We're actually on standby for another part of emergency services that I'll talk about in a second. Back in February, we actually found the vehicle of a lost rock hunter up in the Anderson Ranch Pine Federal area. So we go out and we find lost people. If you get lost on your snowmobile and you call, your family calls the authorities to go look for you, it's probably going to be us in the airplane that goes out and helps find those searches. So that's a big part of how emergency services have shifted in more recent years. Additionally, the other big part of emergency services now for us is disaster response. So we're actually on standby right now to go respond to the fires in Spokane. We have Civil Air Patrol members out on the ground already out there responding. And when they get called, to take their airplane out there and do airborne photography, which is a big part of how we respond after natural disasters now. And then emergency services missions to go out and assist FEMA with disaster response, disaster assessment. A couple years ago when they had the big floods out in Yellowstone, Civil Air Patrol played a big part of that and had hundreds of hours flying missions, taking pictures to assess the flood damage out there. So that's how emergency services has shifted. Additionally, we do airspace education, and we do that both internally and externally to Civil Air Patrol. Our internal Civil Air Patrol airspace education is very much focused on our cadets, but we also do airspace education for our senior members in our monthly meeting, continue to further their education in all things air and space. I am the space guy because I know not enough about space to write on the back of a matchbook with a crayon, and so I do that part. But we talk about all things air and space to both our internal members, seniors, and cadets. But we also reach out to the community. At the most recent air show, we had over 2,000 interactions with people between STEM days. So we took our simulator and our airplane out on STEM day, which was set up by the base's school liaison officer, and set up out there to interact with the kids and folks flying through, in addition to the airplane. We had a huge turnout on Sunday when the unfortunate accident happened out there, and a lot of folks got re-vectored to the STEM hangar. About 2,000 folks went either through the airplane or the simulator or some combination thereof. Additionally, every year we take our simulator out to the schools. So for Kid Fest, we went out there this year and interacted with about 20 kids at Kid Fest, showing them how to do basic flight in an airplane. We also take the sim out to a career day every year at the high school and interact with high school kids to teach them about careers that are available in aviation, both in the military and out. And then lastly, we do other school interactions. We go out and interact with the folks in schools and help the teachers talk about air and space. And then really where my heart's at, because it's the program I run, the third and final main mission of CAP is the cadet program. So we run a cadet program for kids aged 12 to 18 primarily, but they can stay in up through 20.
If they're in school, we actually have one of those members right now who just returned back from Air Force basic training that's continuing on in further part. The cadet program forces us to focus on 4 main mission areas for the cadets. And those are airspace education, as I've already talked about. The second being leadership, so we teach these young men and women how to be leaders and the military kind of mindset. And we do everything from focusing on military drill and ceremonies to actually they're currently building a float for Air Force Appreciation Day as their leadership program and having, again, these 12 to 18-year-old folks take charge of that. Third, we do character development. So every month we have a character development topic that we go through with these young men and women, and that's led by our squadron chaplain. And lastly, we do physical fitness. So once a month we have some kind of physical fitness activity, which the school sisters have been very gracious to allow us to use their facilities to help out with that. I have 13 kids currently actively on the roster. We float somewhere generally between about 13 to 20 as kids age out of PCS. We have a lot of military members to include the new ops group commanders' kids are in our program. So people PCS, they move, they focus out, or they transition out, age out, those kind of things, and we get new members in. I have about 7 in the process of that, so we'll continue to float around that level of 20. To the airplane specifically, every one of those kids gets 5 orientation rides in System 182 at no cost. So we take them out, show them what it is like to fly an airplane. They actually get to control the airplane, do some basic maneuvers, all those kind of things, everything short of landing. And taking off, they can't control the airplane below 1,000 feet. But we take them out and show them lots of different things and how an airplane flies. And that has led to several cadets who had an interest in aviation, being even more passionate, or creating an interest in aviation as a potential career, potentially in the military as well, through those rides. Additionally, those are front seat rides. They can have as many back seat rides as they want as we fly other cadets. We're hoping to fly some cadets this weekend, pending airplane availability. And then lastly, things that CAP does for the community, we also support the base directly. So one out is part of our 4 main mission sets. At least once a year, we will go out in the base and support the base in some form or fashion. And that can take several different forms. We've assisted them directly with their training of pretending to be bad guys for them, and big mission exercises, large force exercises. As the threat for the Air Force has changed over the last few years to maybe more of a high-end threat to now being the drone threat, being a significant threat, we've been out and simulated drones for them as part of their deployment prep. We assist additionally in low-level route surveys and surveying the MOA. So when the Air Force decided they wanted to drop the floor of the military operating area down to 100 feet, we went out and surveyed that entire range complex, and you know how big that is, with a member of the Air Force OSS in the right seat to go out and look for uncharted obstacles and towers. Because the FAA doesn't chart anything less than 200 feet, because they just assume that cell phone towers are going to be everywhere, so they don't chart those. So we flew the Air Force around to look for those uncharted towers so that an F-15 doesn't run into it at 500 knots while flying around at 100 feet. Additionally, we do that for the low-level routes that the base owns. So the base owns several low-level military training routes that allows the Air Force to go fast and low. And we go out and we do the same thing in those military training routes, and we survey those routes looking for unmarked, uncharted hazards. And then lastly, for supporting the base, we expect to support the Singaporeans next year in their Forging Sabre, which is their prime red flag level exercise that they do for their entire joint force. And they do that here at Mountain Home now. We expect to be called upon to support the Singaporeans as part of that base tie-in next fall. So kind of in summary, we believe CAP provides a service to our community. Whether it be search and fuel when you get lost on your snowmobile, whether it be the support that we provide at the base, whether it be the airspace education that we do there for the town's children, for the broader community, and the support that we provide for our Air Force as part of that. We receive funding for the flight hours, we receive the airplane, but we receive no funding outside of that. So anything that comes outside of gas that goes in the airplane, we either raise funds for that or the members donate that. Whether that be cleaning supplies, de-icing fluid, all those kind of things. Additionally, sometimes our militaries will self-fund, our members will self-fund their own individual training. In fact, I and another member, actually Ted, last summer went out and looked for an airman that was lost from the base with threats of potential self-harm. We were already flying that day on a self-funded training mission. We went out and helped assist look for that airman. So we have those kind of flights that go on as well. But again, that is self-funded by our members. There is precedent for airports supporting CAP in such manner as waiving tie-down fees or providing facilities. Jerome provides a hangar, Twin Falls provides a hangar. Some of the other airports around the area do not. But throughout the country, airports around the country support CAP in various ways, from doing absolutely nothing to providing a hangar and everything in between. If the council determines that we need to throw our fair share in to support the airport, we'll accept that, and we will contribute those funds to the city and the airport as required. However, as I mentioned, we get no Air Force funding for those kind of things, so that will be a dollar that we're not spending on a cadet. So we're not providing a scholarship to a cadet for flight training. We're not buying cadet uniforms or uniform paraphernalia. We're not providing a scholarship for a kid to go to camp, because that will come out of other monies that we're running along that way. So we appreciate your consideration to continue the long-term waiver that the base, the airport, and the city's had, and the relationship that CAP has had with CAP, and continue to waive the title fees. Thank you very much. I stand by for your questions.
Sorry that you might have covered this. You covered a lot. But did you say you do fundraising efforts?
We do. Primarily our cadets do those things to raise up money for their kids.
And how much do you generate from that? I mean, you don't have to tell me, but that helps me to determine if you're doing your part for fundraising for your organization, instead of, in addition to asking for assistance from the city.
Yeah, so generally we have 1 to 2 significant fundraisers every month. We've had donations from, for instance, the Rotary Club. We've had auctions of headsets that have been donated, minor things like that. But we'll generally do 1 big fundraiser a year, led and run by the cadets as part of that leadership opportunity, primarily to raise money for AFAB. So I think last year they raised about $800, a little bit less than that, more like about $500 this year. So somewhere between that $500 to $700 a year ballpark is probably about what we raise in fundraising through various manners.
I could add just a bit to that. Every fundraising event that the cadets are doing has to have adults there. And time for adults is really, really important. So we got to find time that the adults can be there as well as the cadets.
And we have to get wing approval for all
And we
of
do
them.
have to get approved.
Anything else, Council? All right. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There we go.
Ian Morcott, I'm on the Airport Advisory Committee. We are in support of raising fees for tie downs. We try to amortize the costs, and we still with the fees that are on the schedule at the moment, it's a small change. You say the word airplane, you need to burn a $100 bill, so it's a couple of dollars a week for each member. Adult member who's flying the plane is not too much to ask. And the other thing is that while the Civil Air Patrol does provide a valuable service, the politics going on at the local area is making it so this particular wing flies to Gooding to fuel their planes, and they come back and they don't have what should be a full load of fuel on board to make a point. And I think this just needs to end. And when you have a plane based at Mountain Home, you should be fueling up at Mountain Home to make sure that your plane is at maximum range if you come out in an emergency. That's it.
Yeah.
Are you speaking on behalf of the Airport Advisory
Yes.
Committee? Okay. So tonight we need to make a decision if we're going to disregard the tie-down fees or not approve the tie-down fees for the Civil Air Patrol aircraft. On behalf of the Airport Advisory Committee, can you say the stance? Do you approve or disapprove them paying the fee?
As a board, we didn't hold any decision on one way or the other. It's more up to the city whether or not they want to make that donation to the organization. So, for me personally, I think they should. I mean, the fees are really low. If it was in Caldwell or Nampa, it's like $30 or $50 a month, and that adds up. But what we're asking here is much less. So I think it's not really burdensome.
Is there, to your knowledge, is there any other organization or group that does not pay the fee?
that everybody on the airport should be paying a fee.
We are paying
Yeah,
a fee.
yeah.
Currently, everyone's paying a fee currently.
And no loan. So.
Mr. Mayor?
You had your time. Okay. So would anybody else like to get up and speak for or against? So, Will, email what you were going to say.
Very well.
Thank you. Would anybody else? Going once? All right. Public hearing closed. We're going to run down to recognizing persons in the audience. Please limit your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on matters that are not listed on the current agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the municipal purview of the city. Comments may not involve personnel matters, legal disputes, or private non-municipal affairs of the constituency. Comments regarding zoning or land issues may only be made during properly noticed public hearings. Would anybody like to get up and speak for 3 minutes? Steve. Or Steve. All right.
That's just what it is.
Everybody calls me something. Alright, again, I'm Stephen Damon. I'm here to speak about public surveillance cameras, also known as LPRs or license plate readers. I do appreciate Mayor Sykes' words at last meeting that we do not have Flock brand cameras in our city, unlike our neighbors in Twin Falls and Caldwell. But Flock is just one brand of camera, and if we focus all our energy on one brand, another brand will just swoop in and fill the spot if the role and the money exists. I've been a staunch opponent of the city installing general surveillance cameras, being one of the only dissenting votes when it was previously proposed in a community poll April 2025 on the city's Facebook page. I don't pretend to know the answers on how we should handle localized graffiti or any other crime, but putting ourselves in a surveillance state and sharing that data with a massive private corporation or untrackable federal agencies is definitely the wrong approach. If a government can install cameras on every corner that are passively looking into everyone's backyards and windows, what's to stop them from tying those cameras onto passive drones that just roam around? Side note, the Flock Corporation did buy a drone company in late 2024, so we might be close to doing anything. As I stated, I appreciate that we do not have these here in our town. I'd like to propose that the mayor and city council consider passing a resolution to preemptively and proactively make clear that this type of surveillance is not welcome in our little town, to ensure that a future council or mayor that may be more friendly to these cameras cannot simply approve a Flock-style contract without some sort of legal barrier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Derek Vargas again. I agree with everything that Steve said. I was going to come up and say the same thing. Flock is just one company, and as Flock gets taken down, another company gets put up like Anon. And they're being a little bit more sneaky about them. They're hiding them in traffic speed speedometers, and they are putting them out of reach and all of these things that are just because the outrage is so strong that instead of just listening to constituents, they are trying to find ways to make sure that the constituents are held accountable versus the fact that it's a surveillance state. You know, they're putting more time and effort tracking down and trying to find evidence against people who may even speak out against Flock. There's a thing called anti-tech extremists, and if you can look this up on the whitehouse.gov, they think anyone who is against AI data centers or Flock is a threat, essentially, for the country moving forward. So with that said, I agree with everything Steve said. I think there's been a lot of confusion in the town, and I really think it's a time for a town hall with everyone. I think it needs to be open discussion, transparent questions and answers. This would also allow everyone to have a better understanding of what the residents of Mountain Home wants and the direction that Mountain Home should go. A lot has changed in the past 2 years, enough that people are struggling further, and I think it's time for everyone to sit down and see what can be done, because the damages of the changes are done, and now it's where we have to react to it. We can do some preventative things, such as getting a resolution to stop flock cameras or surveillance or data centers, but we still have to prepare for what comes after that, or after this economic, I don't even want to say speed bump. It's like a car crash, honestly. So yes, I think a town hall is time, and I think just giving plenty of time for people to prepare for it and put it months out, so then everyone has time to either take time off if they need to, write emails if they have to, and really gather their thoughts, because this is kind of a big deal, and everyone in town is subject to the economy. So I appreciate everyone's time.
Right, we're going to run down to conflict of interest. Has any council member received information pertaining to or otherwise had any contact with any person regarding any items on the city council? If so, please set forth the nature of contact. Councilwoman Workler.
I received an email from Roosevelt Ruiz, Nicholas Gachin, Charlene Carey, Sylvia Nixon regarding the business action item. No conflict of interest.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
I received an email from Ted Thompson regarding airport tie-down fees. Roosevelt Ruiz, Charlene Carey, Alexis Garcia, Nicholas Gachin regarding pool fees.
Correction, Ted Thompson as well to the airport. Tie-down fees.
Councilman McCarthy.
Bear with me here, I've got a little list. So I received an email from Louise as well. Here's Charlene, Nicholas Gatigan, Sylvia Nixon regarding the swimming and recreation fees. Also received an email from Ted Thompson regarding the tie downs. I received an email from Rod Dudley regarding the consent agenda number 5, due to it being a quasi speaking with legal. I'll bring that up. No conflict of interest. Good there, Paul? Yep. Okay. And also on new business item number 2.
Mr. Mayor. Councilman Sanders.
Ditto.
Okay. All right. We're going to run down the consent agenda. Is there anything that 1 through 7 council that you'd like more clarification on?
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workler.
Okay, so please bear with me. Sue, thank you for getting the credit card invoice or statements to us. As I know there's like probably a technological issue or whatever because we're supposed to be on Friday, but we just got them before the meeting. So I was quickly just going through them because we have to approve these numbers tonight. So I just have a few questions, so I apologize ahead of time if I'm putting anyone on the spot. Otherwise, I would have reached out to you via email before today. I know Shasta isn't here, but I do have a question. What is the association for RU Seattle that was on the credit cards? Anyone can speak on that. The amount was...
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
From the library board packet for August of 2026 here, under meeting schools and dues, the Association of Rural and Small Libraries Annual Conference and associated. Correct, 390 for the conference registration, round trip flight, and
Okay, thank you. For law enforcement, can you clarify laser labs for 1,980 and fire penny for 1,189.83 please?
What was the
Laser labs.
That was for the 10-meter readers
Okay.
for patrol officers.
Okay. And fire penny.
fire pit, I'm not sure what that
It's
is.
for 1,189.83. Lots on here.
Probably patrol equipment. That actually might be the access doors for locked doors and that.
And again, I apologize. I would have reached out ahead of time.
No worries.
Just now. Okay, and then if other council, I have one more for Public Works, thank you.
Yep.
And if members want to take time to review this, because I know you just got it as well tonight, if there's something that, those need to get paid, but if we need to push this off, you guys want to review it, I'll leave that up to you. Public Works, page 76 on this email that we received. Let's see, what is UI.com for 808.12 and 421.70? Just as UI.com.
I'm scrolling through. Don, did I get that as well?
I'm not sure if I can send it to you.
I'm not gonna be able to tell you what UI is.
Okay.
There's a lot of bills that come through Public Works.
It's on page 76.
I don't know
If you
what it
continue this, there should be justifications if you continue to scroll.
I was trying to see how to use it.
What budget was it under, Dean?
It was under City Mountain Home Public Works Department.
It's the budget line item.
Oh, I want it. So that's the thing. We don't have a budget line item tied to it.
I'm not gonna make something up out there.
Yeah,
I can
no.
definitely get you an answer.
And that's where I stand, right? Like it's hard to approve our bill run when everything says it's Wells Fargo credit card. We have to back it up against what is actually being paid out. And so that's why all these questions.
Sure.
That's it.
Said credit.
There is one credit there, but then there's two.
It's the one with the credit.
Well, there's one that's credit, and then there's two that's for charges at different amounts.
So then those charges are for, sorry, Mayor.
You're good.
So if it's the one that has a credit to it, IT is upgrading the switch and the servers at Public Works for the Public Works building, the fiber building, and all the SCADA systems. And what he's doing is he's actually taking the SCADA off of the direct line to the server and giving it an independent switch so that we can have security from cyber attacks. That's what that's for.
Okay, because the card was 469.72, so that sounds familiar to you.
Yeah, that exactly. Yep, absolutely. That's the upgrade to the switches.
No, thank you.
Anything else, council?
We have a motion to.
Sorry, Sanders, you're good.
I'd like to pull number 7.
Okay. All right, council, hearing that, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed, polling number 7?
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed, polling number 7.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders?
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Barjo?
Aye.
Okay. Run down to old business. There was none. Run down. Yep, sorry. Run down to new business. Items removed from the consent agenda. Number 1 in new business, which is number 7. Councilman Sanders?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
members of the council, this is the response from Public Works from their initial submission, which was back on May 12th. I'd like to remind members of the council the memo that came with that back on the 12th, when there was a request for a different vendor to provide resurfacing of that particular project area. It was listed in that memo that the total project cost would be $562,500. It was submitted with a request to recognize a sole source designation, which does not exist in policy. And as the minutes of this meeting where this was first presented and the audio-video recording for it, this council gave direction that this particular project needed to be done in accordance with the purchasing policy. In the original submission back in May, the document presented to us then had no accommodations for any of the traffic control, striping, access to the valves and drainage, and didn't mention anything about soft spots. In fact, they were specifically excluded in the bid that was put before us back in May. What we have before us now is not the same thing. The document before you now includes those items in the contract, with the exception of soft spots and the repair of the base. Now, the only reference I have to try to understand this is how we got Railroad Park. Because I have to assume that when this was first submitted in May, it was the Public Works plan to do the additional work we see in the new document. But then we would not know the total project cost because the city's contribution to that project would once again not be revealed. It would have been completely appropriate at the Public Works Department gone out for an invitation to bid for the resurfacing of that roadway in accordance with the purchasing policy. That's not what was chosen to be done. A separate bid was put out to put all of it out there. And after reading the minutes provided by the Public Works Director of the pre-bid meeting, in which it is stated that they were directed to do it this way, I have to ask Public Works Director, who directed that?
Mayor.
Go ahead.
In the original meeting that you're discussing, I was given the direction that I was allowed to do no in-kind work. That if I went out for bid, that all of the job had to be addressed in the bid and completed by the contractor with no city staff involvement. That came from this body, and that's what I did.
No, sir, that's not what came from this body. And we can go back and watch the video if you'd like. You were told to follow the purchasing policy. You could have just as easily gone back out and did an invitation to bid for the resurfacing only and continued to abuse the city's resources that were already set aside, but simply declaring those costs as part of the project, just like we're doing right now with Railroad Park. You could have had the very same vendor that you favored in your first presentation be a competitor.
You chose not to bid. I can't control that.
Now, they chose not to bid because the bids you put out had them doing work they'd already said they could not and would not do. In my opinion, members of the council, this bid's been spoiled. The people who were there to bid on it were told that the city council directed the city to bid the entire thing. It's now delayed again, some work that we've done, to a point where we go back and redo it now. It's probably going to be done this year. That'll be 2 years in a row we ended up major street project done. And it was unnecessary, in my opinion, and could have been easily avoided. And I still have to wonder, now, wanting to put it all into a contract bid, if the manpower hours involved were actually there to do it in the first place. Because we still don't have tracking on how much manpower has been used on Railroad Park. And we certainly don't have room for overtime in those public work budgets. So, members of the council, I pulled it from the consent agenda because in my mind, it was biased. I think the bid fell short. I can't believe we can identify every access point that needed to have a concrete collar around it, some 45 in total. And yet we told every prospective bidder, you tell us how many soft spots there are. You tell us how many times we're ready to repair that road bed. I drove that street getting back over here. I got 24 in my mind that are suspect already. But the bidders were told in the pre-bid conference, you go figure that out. We have no guidance for you in our mind, and I can pull the document up. We know of no issues. So in my mind, this bid was spoiled. And I would reject it.
Councilman, this bid I think is a good bid. This is I thought the bid would come back a lot higher, honestly, to be.
Oh yeah, in fact, we were guaranteed it was going to be 1/4 of the next year's bid in the May document from the original document in front of us. But actually, when you go back and take a look at the two things the original bid was going to do, pick up the asphalt and put it back down, and you look at the successful bid, where they pick it up and put it back down, it's actually $25,000 cheaper than the first presentation.
No, this bid takes it and hauls it somewhere. Hauls it probably to
Our storage area.
our storage area.
You're still taking up the old asphalt and you're replacing it. Whether it was with itself, which wasn't the first bid, or which was supposed to be the more economical way,
Right.
or like it's being done in this bid, it's still wound up. The process of getting it up. In other words, Mr. Mayor, if the city would have done the same thing with this bid that it would have done the original bid, it would have been $25,000 better off. Because this bidder, we're taking up the old asphalt and laying down new asphalt. That service, which was the same one, in essence, it was being done by the previous bidder, actually came in $25,000 cheaper.
I don't know about the math on that. I'll have to go.
Oh, I do. I got it right here.
I digress. So, and I do believe that we didn't, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to have to go back and watch the video, but all of the council meetings prior, since after Railroad Park, I thought we were like, okay, no more any kind of work. That was kind of our understanding. So that was what we did. We said, we can't do any kind of work, so we want you to bid it out fully in all its utilitarian, like all one thing. And that's what we did. We wanted hands up, we wanted a true bid, and that's what we did.
All the council's ever asked for is a true cost. This is a true project cost. What you just told us is if the city had done the work, they'd have done $113,072.64 worth. Because that's the difference between the cost of the asphalt getting picked up and put down and all the side work you passed out in the second bid. It was to be covered by the city quietly under the price radar the first time. Because that's the difference between the overall bid amount here and the amount of the contract that was first presented to us back in May. So basically you're telling us that had you done the in-kind work, you spent at least $113,000 to do it.
No, I'm not saying that at all. Maybe that's the contractor's cost to do it, but maybe our cost is way less expensive.
Exactly. And how would we have known that the first time around? The same way we don't know it right now in Railroad Park. We're having to track cost on a monthly basis for what we're putting into that park because we didn't know going in. We didn't have the budget for it then. The difference here, Mr. Mayor, is we have the budget for this now. This is work we've already budgeted for. There's no reason not to be showing us that cost the first time around. And now you're saying you're not going to show us the cost because you're going to move it all out into an outside one-time project cost. Well, and then we still got our personnel hours, and our material. And did we really have to go out to the contractor to get it? And the other thing that really drives me nuts with this, they're doing traffic control, all of it, for that entire block. That company could, on its own whim, decide to close that entire 5-block stretch, right by a school, until they're done with it. And we gave them the latitude to do it. They have full reign over it. The only thing we've given them is when the project should start and when it should end. And everything else we said, you guys do it. That's a real lack of guidance when you're doing a project that size. They could block off every intersection as long as the residents can get out. We'd been better off doing it the other way around. We'd been better off simply going out for what that cost was to pick that up and put it back down. It wasn't an open bid the first time around. They tried to bring it through here on a sole source justification. That violated the policy.
So we can agree to disagree on that one because we
It's
can't
not a
do
matter of
sole source.
disagree.
Right, Paul? Sole source. State of Idaho allows it. Municipalities do sole source.
Our policy does not.
It doesn't preclude it.
It doesn't have it in it at all.
So how does that make it? That makes no justification. If it doesn't have it in there, but it doesn't preclude it, that makes. If we follow the state law, that's what we have to follow.
The sole source that was given was you tried to pass sole source on how it was being done, not what was being done. You were buying the service of pulling up that asphalt and putting it back down to resurface that street. That's what was being bought.
Well,
so
regardless,
I'm going to once again let my fellow council persons know I would deny this contract.
This is a good contract and a good bid. I believe so.
Council, Woman.
This is a lot of information that I'm just hearing just now. Could you make a motion maybe to table this so we can research what you already have ingrained in your head? Because there's so many things I want to speak up on, but I haven't been able to look at what you have in front of you and what you've been able to study before tonight. Is there a deadline for this contract that we have to does it expire?
There was no expiration
Okay.
identified. I can tell you that we were lucky to get bids because it is the end of the season. The longer we delay, the closer we get to winter, and we do not want to do a road construction project.
The asphalt line's closed.
And I am the one up here that speaks about no in-kind work. I am very strong on that because I don't want to be in competition with local businesses. And I have said that with the Pro Shop. I have said that with Railroad Park. I have said that with many different projects. So I will stand by that. But I really want to know, Councilman Sanders, what you have found because I'm curious. So would you want to table this? Do you have a motion that you want to make?
Mayor.
Councilman McCarthy.
Chris, I've got some questions. Sorry. Can you, this whole bid, basically no in-kind work.
There is no.
And no in-kind work. Had this come in from $650,000, $650,400. So I want to ask some questions on with this no in-kind work. We're doing no traffic control, no strike. Does this bid include the base work for the soft spots?
It includes the entire construction of the road.
Entire. This is not a mill and lay like asphalt recycling. That includes the density testing, right?
Correct.
Perfect.
Can I piggyback, Mayor?
Councilman,
Can I piggyback up and say, there was like 5 things that really I remember with that previous contract that we keep referencing. And we're like, they weren't going to cover like 5 or 6 things that were out there. I can't grab them from my memory. Can you guys remember? There was soft spots. It was
Colors, no base work.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's basically, it was a mill taking the, Chris, what was it, 3 inches at the top?
3 inches off the top.
And to lay it down, back down with the same material, using the rejuvenant, so no base work.
So we would go in, remember that was the in-kind, we'd go in, fix the soft spots with the colors, where all the water,
So the water and the sewer valves would be the ones that would go in. We would lower those so that when they paved, we would go back in after, raise them back up. We were going to do all the traffic control for it. We were going to do all the public advertising for it. We were going to
striping
all of those, and we were going to do the striping at the end of the project. All of that is included in this. There's no.
You want to say, please?
The only involvement that the city staff would have would be during the inspections for the density testing and to ensure that the contractor provided us with all the certifications for the asphalt. That's the only involvement we have. We have to have that involvement with our road.
And I do recall myself saying I had a problem with that, right? I had a problem that these things that we just listed was coming again from the city and not, that the company was not providing anything, right? So I will stand by that comment. But again, I really want to know what, I'm sorry, you have more.
Keep going, Councilman. So, Chris, can you help? We're going from, on 10th, we're going from 15th all the way down
To American Legion.
to American, so we're going completely off. Okay.
Full length, full width.
Help me just understand, because I know we did 6th Street by St. Louis, and we had that from American Legion up. I think that was close to 900.
So that was 2 separate projects.
Right, which we ended up combining in the end. So just for, understanding, we're basically doubling our street length on this project from what 6th Street was. We did a lot of underground work, didn't we,
We did an entire sewer system upgrade as far as that project.
Okay.
And we installed all new water lines where they were applicable.
Okay, that's just, I'm trying to, I mean, again, from us.
Stormwater. And stormwater, correct.
So we had stormwater, upgraded water,
The
sewer.
primary one is the sewer, because I don't know if you recall or if you're aware, but the sewer line used to run under Sykes Hospital.
Yeah.
We needed to fix that.
Right.
So that was the primary driver.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around why we went from a shorter, let's say half of a distance, $1 million project to double the length, and we're at 650, but we are doing, it's a whole rehab project.
Whole reconstruction.
I'm not trying to
Sound
like a broken record, but I want to make sure, because as you remember, I won't speak for this council, but one of my concerns with asphalt recycler was it didn't deal with the base, which we're going to be back on there. But this is a complete rehab project.
This is a road reconstruction project.
Councilman Sanders.
One other thing I asked the council members to consider, if you pull up successful bid document, there are 2 line items on that document that are not filled out, and they deal with the repair of soft spots in the road bed. Well, they put a price for what a repair under that category would run. There's a set of initials that I'm not sure what they stand for under the actual cost. I'm guessing that's the thing they'll charge out if they run across. Now, I'm not a road expert by any stretch of the imagination. When my car goes bump over the pavement, I think something's wrong underneath. And I spotted at least, in my mind, up to 20 plus, 24 actually, spots that will potentially need repair at the roadbed level. So bottom line cost, and in fact in this contract, there's nothing there that tells me that they'll do any repair whatsoever. And in fact, they were told, as far as the city was aware, according to the notes provided at the pre-bid conference, that there were no issues with the roadbed in that area that the city was aware of. So there's an open hole in your bid. They can come back in and say, we made 25 repairs to the roadbed at a cost of so many apiece. And congratulations, the bill is now $750,000. It's open-ended. Such a bid should have been rejected as non-responsive. The cities had plenty of time to go out and count how many access points there were to put them in the bid. They didn't put a single one in there to even give a guideline to these bidders. Again, I think this bid's spoiled. And I think it leaves a dangerous hole open for additional costs we're not seeing at this time.
Considering maybe Chris, we can get a copy of the bid contract, the documents. All we have in our packet is the memo. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay, I can look.
Councilman Worthley?
If no one else is going to make a motion, I will. I'm going to make a motion to table number 7, the rehabilitation project to Summit Construction LLC. until the next city council meeting. In the meantime, get all documents, the bid that went out, any documents that Councilman Sanders has procured through his research to us council, so we can do the research and make it an action item for the next city council meeting.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor, I don't know all the documents that Councilman Sanders has procured to supply you, so if you have more than what I gave you, then I just emailed you everything he has.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for question. Councilman Harjo. Aye. Councilman Morgula.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Run down to new business number 2, action item deliberation decision regarding 2023-2026 RR recreation swimming pool fees. Council.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Morgula.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for being here today. Since you saw we had quite a few turnouts. Yeah, if you come up, please. And then we received quite a few emails as well, and concerns referencing the fee increase. I do want to point out that during our budget session that we had back in June, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a substantial amount that came from the general fund to cover the pool costs. I'll let you speak, but that's what keeps going across in my mind, is that it's not self-sufficient, and that even though people do not everyone uses the pool, when you're pulling from the general fund, everyone's paying for that, for the pool. It's the same it's the same animal as the golf course. And I just want to make sure that if you're pulling from the general fund, it's coming from property taxes, taxpayer money. And we did pull, what was it, 430, I got it, I have it written down. So I just want to point that out. I'm getting looks from the call.
No, you're okay.
Okay.
Mayor and council, it's revenue sharing. It's not property tax.
So revenue sharing from the state?
Yes, that's
Yes.
what it is.
Okay, thank you.
The transfer.
But it still goes into the general fund, which could be used for something other, right?
But the revenue sharing is also allocated to other departments as well, for quality of life within our city.
Correct.
So, I mean, just.
What was it, 400 and, what came from the state for revenue sharing? Was it 439? I'm just giving out numbers. But
No, like $1 million, 2 million, 1 million, 1 point. I don't know. So here's my synopsis of the pool fees, everybody. And this is just my synopsis. If you guys are gonna get into a vote or whatnot, my thought process is I've always believed, and you'll hear me say this at many council meetings, that if we take care of the young and old, the rest of us in the middle, we will get by, and we'll do that. So my thought process with the pool fees, when we did the pool, we also said, hey everybody, we are not going to raise the pool fees. We're going to try to get this up and running and things of that nature. My ask, if I have to vote on something, I don't mind the pool parties, the extracurricular activities, those going up, but I think that the $2 fee is fair. Last time we raised them was in 2016. It went from $1 to $2. If I had to vote today, if I do have a vote, which I don't know if I will or I won't, I say leave the $2 alone and raise the rest of the pool fees. I think if I'm going to throw a party and I get to choose who I want at the pool, then that should come with, and then you got to pay for lifeguards, and as the one lady said earlier, you have some things to look at, and we're not going to talk employees or whatnot right now, but we have things that we could look at. If I was going to do it today, if I had to vote, my vote would leave it alone at $2, but all the rest of the fees, those can be, that'd be my vote. So with that, I will shut up and I'll let you guys discuss on how you guys are going to go tackle this beast. Councilman McCarthy.
Dennis, thanks for coming, and thank you for this data. This is something I was actually planning on discussing, because one of the biggest things with the amenities is, trying to figure out, it's always have to break even, but we have to somewhat pencil it out, right?
Correct.
So, not to kind of put you on the spot up here, there's a lot of good data in here, I think, to go through in that, but
Do we have any idea what the daily operating cost for the pool is?
It's the same question I've asked about the golf course, and so
I don't want to be necessarily
a stickler about, going through about the golf course and then not talk about other amenities.
So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot.
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I mean, I've run a lot of numbers over the last several weeks, but I don't have the exact number.
And to
Go ahead, Tiffany.
to be honest, council, the anomaly on chemical, the amount of patrons that come in, the utility, there's a lot of unknown numbers that we're not even, like, they're going to be very broad estimates, because you could put chemical in and only have 20 people, right? We could have a really nice sunny day, or we could have a really cloudy day, and UV plays a humongous factor in how much chemical we burn and how much utility we use on the facility. Same with bather load is the other portion of that. So, and how long you operate it. Like on a Saturday, we don't put people in it until probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon. On a Monday morning, swim team joins in at 6 o'clock. So Monday through Thursday, that pool's running from 6 a.m. to nearly 10 o'clock at night with people in it round the clock, right? So that dollar for dollar is different than what it is on a Saturday. If we could give you staffing, but chemical and utility is a hard number to quantify factually for you.
I'm just here to present numbers to you, and I know you asked the number for a daily, and I don't have that on this data, so I don't want to give you any false information. But the information that I've given you is just to show you whether there's profits and losses, and as you can see in 2026, the city itself, if you look down there at the very bottom, we're going to spend about $95,000, a little over that, for the city. If we raise the fees, depending on what we raise, next year, potentially, if everything runs exactly the same as it did this year, the city would pay about $29,000. So we're still not, going to break even, but my goal is to try to make everything break as close to even as possible.
That's all. And council, I want you guys to if we're talking quality of life, yes, you have, I just go back to the cemetery, you go back to the library, you go back to the recreation, they're a part of the community, they're part of that quality of life. How do you quantify, or how do you put a dollar amount to that? Obviously, we have dollar amounts, but at the end of the day, we got to give our kids in the water aerobics, and like I said, if we take care of our young and old, the rest of us, what we usually do is we pay.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Loveland.
I'm sorry, Councilman President.
Go ahead, sir.
For now,
Okay. Because I wanted to go back to that number. So yes, it was $450,000 that REC got from the state revenue sharing. And again, state revenue sharing can be used for amenities, but it also can be used for infrastructure. So that's why I want to make sure, because if we're going to highlight the golf course, saying that it's never in the black, we have to do it for every department, right? Yeah. And so the pool is the same thing, same scenario. And so what we had to do with the golf course is we have raised the rates. We raised the fees. I understand then there's that concept where someone will say, well, those people, I've got emails where they say, well, they're more wealthy and more well-to-do. You cannot discriminate on that when it comes to community members on amenities. You cannot. So again, when almost $500,000 is coming out of the general fund that could go towards infrastructure like our streets or our water or wastewater issues that we have, but it's going to cover the pool, there has to be an increase. I'm not doing my job then. And again, when we have people, citizens coming in and saying that I don't use the golf course, I am not paying, or why am I paying for the golf course? It's the same reversal for the pool. I'm not using the pool. Why am I paying for the pool?
Let's finish, please.
I know we have different ideas on this.
I was just going to say, the 400 transfer is to operate within the rec department budget. It's not all to the pool. It's all their other programming. It's their salary. It's okay. It's a wide variety. So just.
Well, then let's put it all underneath one umbrella. Then.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You just keep.
No, you're great. No, thank you for clarifying. But yes. the same, I'm trying to make the same concept, right?
I get what you're saying.
They're different departments. And when I have citizens emailing me saying that, well, the people who use one department of money are more well-to-do, you can't do that, compare that. And I also want to point out, I've received an email saying, just pull from the city's slush fund. I want the citizens to know there's not such a thing. We take this book and we go line item by line item for every penny that is accounted for going in and out. I understand the frustrations. I work for a school district, and I work for a school district that has kids that don't come with shoelaces or the backpacks that they need. I understand children and what they need, and the health, and the mental health, and the physical health of children and what they need. But my number one job as a council person is to be a good steward of how the taxpayer money is coming in and going out. And I can't pick favorites. Does that make sense? I can't pick favorites. My kids use the pool and rec. So anyhow, like.
So council, what do you want to do? Go ahead, Ted.
I have one more comment. Councilman McCarthy, I took Dennis's 95,000 rough number and divided by 45 days of operation. We've probably operated a few more than that. And it's about $2,100 a day. Just for the rough numbers.
Yeah.
Just to ballpark something out there. That's chemical and labor only, right? You didn't even put utility, so you're still short.
With that, you said 2,100. You said it for 45 days of operation?
Yeah, I did the 95,000. I think his had different numbers. I just did 95,000 by 45 days. And it's 2,111.
But we run it longer than 45 days.
Correct. I just like to roughly
It's
now.
like 90 days usually.
We got 100 days of summer. Like,
Yeah. Right.
Well, we did close down for 4th of July, and we just closed down for smoke, so there's 10 days.
Mr. Mayor. Councilman Sanders.
Thank you. I understand and endorse the perspective that Councilman Werkel has presented around being good stewards of our city funds, regardless of where we get them from. But I also align myself a bit with the mayor in that I find one word I use over and over again when I think about all the amenities we have, including everything from the library to the tie downs at the airport, the pool, the golf course. And that word is community. The reason I pay my taxes, and part of that winds up going to amenities, even if I don't use them, is because I'm a part of the community. And I know that I'm not the same as my neighbor. They're not the same as me. I think we're all the better for that. But what they like to do and I like to do can be two entirely different things. And if we have it available to them in the city, then all of our quality of life is improved. So I come back to community when it comes to amenities such as this. I would like to see, or I'd be interested in having, the $2 current fee remain for public swimming, one-day pool pass, which to me, help me differentiate between those two. Is it?
They're really not. There's not a lot of difference. I don't know what it was going to put in there.
I can speak on that. So last fall, you initiated a season pass. Prior to that, the city didn't have season passes. We issued 1 day. We gave basically a whole bunch of little 1-day vouchers that added up to about 90 days of pool season. So when you came in, we just issued you dollar for dollar the exact same. A lot of people don't want to send cash to a public pool with their children, so they would just send them with those. So that's what that is for.
Okay, so basically the token's like the driving range and the golf course.
Very, very similar, yes.
See, there's parallels all over the place. Okay, that being said then, and the lap swim, I would look to see that stay at $2 as well. Private pool parties increases, I can support those. The same thing with the thing, pool parties by the recreation department. I've noticed there's no request to increase the season individual pass or the family pass. Individual swim lessons, things don't cost the same this year as they did last year. And now we're talking a personal service. I don't know that 175 is the right number. I don't know that $50 increase is the right number. But I know that 125 covered the costs, or only a portion of the cost from last year. So if anyone has a further idea on the individual swim lessons, I'd be willing to entertain it. But other than that, I would keep the $2 fees.
Broken record, y'all. I'm sorry. Let's get up your soapbox. That's it. Councilman Sanders, just speak on the individual swim lesson specific. That's more of a one-on-one direct. And so we haven't offered that since the new facility's been built because we didn't have the staffing to do that. So those numbers of the 125 were based on back in 2018 or 19 when the first fee got implemented into the rec department because we were teaching private swim lessons under the table on public property. And so we had to charge a fee for the city makes revenue.
And it's a bad comparison, but sometimes those are the only ones we have. At $175 for 4 half-hour lessons, you're getting 2 hours of instruction time. So $87.50 an hour, roughly.
Yeah, so that's one of our staff members teaching one kid one-on-one outside of a group lesson. So it's not beneficial for us, in a sense, to teach. We'd rather people register for group lessons where we can teach typically 5 children at one time, or adults take swim lessons too, I'm sorry. We'd rather teach 5 people at one time than one-on-one. But we do know that there's a need for one-on-one in some situations. But if you just want to select that, then you would pay that. That makes sense.
It does. It is rationale for it.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
Make a motion to approve resolution 23/2026, changing through interlineation, and removing any increase to fees and remaining fees, or keep the remaining fees for public swimming at $2, one-day pool pass at $2, and live swimming at $2. And keeping the rest of it.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman McCarthy.
I have more questions, but you come back to me.
Sorry, Councilman Sanders. Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Dennis, I'm going to vote aye for this, and but I have one thing because this was hoping a discussion. I just didn't jump in quick enough. I received an email that was very much about talking about review since this is our first full kind of year.
About talking about what?
Review of the pool season. And I'll say that, at least for me individually, I'm very much interested in having a full review on, the days open, all these things like that. So I don't know if council is open to that, but it's something that, again, I am voting aye for those increases, but I would like to at least sit down and kind of go through those and have a better understanding of what a full season looked like. So, anyway.
Okay. Thanks, Tiff. Let's run down to new business action item number 3, and new business action item deliberation decision regarding resolution 24-2026R regarding airport fees. Council, what do you want to do?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Sanders.
Are we open for discussion on this?
You bet.
I'm going to go back to a comment made by my colleague on the other side of the aisle over there, Councilor Workla. When I take a look at the daily fees for turbine-powered and non-turbine-powered aircraft, I get this eerie underlying sense that that's basically saying more wealthy people can fly turbine aircraft than piston-driven people, so they should pay more, which kind of flies to me right in the face of the comments made earlier about we really can't, it is not fair and it's not wise to be comparing people where what we think their ability to pay is based on the material that they surround themselves with. When I took a tour of the airport, it's been some time ago, and I noticed the tie-down spaces were given size. I've also seen the different type of aircraft that have come to visit us at the airport. They're not all the same size. Some of them are substantially larger than the others. To merely say that we should be charging a higher fee because of how it's powered, I think is a flawed standard. I would prefer something that either works based off this number of tie-down spaces they take up, or perhaps their weight, which tends to go along with size with aircraft, because weight and balance is such a critical issue with aircraft. Because, you know, and I have to say that this was part of the discussion raised by the comments I received from Mr. Thompson. And he made a couple of really good examples. World War II size aircraft piston driven like a C-47 eat up 3 or 4 or 5 of our tie-down spaces, but we'd be charging it less than a small private commercial jet or Learjet would take just one. And everything we've done has been around the value of land. Tie-down spaces are land. And if we're taking up 3 or 4, but we're only being paid as if we're taking up 1, I think we're missing an opportunity and maybe misjudging the people who are asking to use it. While I'm on this same topic, I see the waiver here, and I really wonder how practical that is. To waive it, I understand having them try to buy 10 gallons of fuel from us. That's lovely. But the second half of this waiver, showing receipts where they've spent money in town, is a laudable notion. But from the number of pilots I've had tell me they can't get access to that terminal or talk directly, who the heck are they going to be showing these receipts to get that waiver? If the facility's not open where they can access and make that presentation, is this really a waiver that's going to work in that fashion? I don't know. And the last comment I have on this particular item, if you don't see the value of the Civil Air Patrol and are not willing to forego a tie-down spot for that aircraft, then you don't need golf donation for rounds. You've got more practical service out of that aircraft than you do 18 holes of golf.
So Councilman Sanders, are you saying the turbine and then the should just be the same as the regular?
No, Mr. Mayor, what I'm really trying to say is I think the standard of having it done by the type of engine that it flies under is a bad standard.
No, I agree with that. So you're saying just keep it at the non-turbine, like they all pay the same, or you want to go by size of plane?
I'm thinking if you're taking up the space,
right,
you need to be paying for that space.
Right.
And the type of engine is not going to give you that.
Okay.
Councilman
Sanders, are you thinking this just needs to be re-scrubbed then? And come back?
If it's not time sensitive, yeah. Because eventually we're going to have an all electric aircraft land out here. So they pay no tie-down fees? They're neither gas nor turbine.
Well, they do it because they take up space. So, Councilman, my proposal is someone table this and let's base it off of land space.
Yeah, size of the aircraft.
Councilman Harjo?
That's fine.
Well, it's up to these guys, I guess.
Councilman Harjo, I'm sorry.
I'll let you go here in a second.
Do a review of a lot of airport policies throughout the West, leading up to this one. Some of the comments you were received by email kind of stoked your curiosity of how everybody else is doing this. And there seems to be like 3 columns of how this is really associated by square footage of wingspan and length, the weight, or by propulsion. There's nearly no rhyme or reason to the selection in like the mid-size airport range, but in seemingly, and again, this is just shy of scientific. The municipal size airports, especially those that are unpowered, seem to have a prevalent bipropulsion. Part of the discussion that I've had with both our airport manager and other airport managers that of airports that had the similar policy of doing it by propulsion, because it was easy to look out the door and go, okay, well that's what that is. That's turbine powered, that's piston powered. Versus having to figure out the weight as produced, plus or minus fuel, or somebody out there with a tape measure going, okay, well this one's 67 feet by 75. Right? I like the concept of how much square footage it is. It seems to be much more prevalent where there are more staff in order to do those things. Right now we have one. And I think that might weigh into how practical approaching one of these other methodologies is.
Tiffany? You sure?
I'm sure.
So with that, council, what do you want to do?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman
Sanders?
This topic seems right for further discussion, so I'm going to make a motion to table this until the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Go ahead. I think you need to add more.
I guess I have a comment now. It can't be tabled if it's going to go to square footage. So it's a discussion item because it will require a public hearing now to base the fees off square footage.
So is there any of these fees that you have any issue with other than the turbine, non-turbine? And obviously the square footage is not on there. You have just for staff, myself, to bring back obviously as Tiff said that we need to bring back, if that's the guidance of the council, you want to go to square footage, we need that to take that back to staff.
Right.
And bring it back.
Will the maker of the motion want to clarify that?
Mr. Mayor, I recall my previous motion and will offer a substitute motion. I would move that we take no action on this item tonight and ask staff to prepare for discussion and possible public hearing a fee structure based upon square footage utilized and reinstate the waiver of the fee for civil air patrol aircraft.
Do I have a second? Councilman Harvey?
Councilman Sanders just go through his motion, please? Just so I understand clearly.
No action tonight. Prepare new discussion, fee structure, possible public hearing, and for square foot versus, just paraphrasing, versus the engine, and then the waiver of fee for the CAP. I missed something.
Could have said it better myself.
Second.
The motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo? Aye. Councilman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Councilman Sanders?
Aye.
All right. Council, let's run down to final comments. Mayor. Councilman Harjo?
Over the past several weeks, myself, our police chiefs, police admin, Pearson, we've attended the county commission meetings regarding the dispatch agreement as we, as this council had agreed upon and sent over. There was an inclusion of that document as we agreed upon internally here, provided in the county commission's packet last week or last Friday, but there was no agenda item or no action items or decision on that. As we attended that meeting, there was some brief discussion regarding the agreement. It was acknowledged by the county commissioners that they could not take action on that at that time. They defined that there would be a decision made on that at 9:15 this coming Friday, their county commission meeting. It would be my request from my fellow council members to attend that meeting and us publicly notice. Especially given the fact that later that afternoon, after the police chiefs, Amy and myself left, there was decision and action taken on that by the two members of the county commission. They are proposing, as we had defined, a $90,000 plus $10,000 break for the first year. We would assign $10,000 for ILETs and $90,000 for the service of the dispatch agreement, and then a 5% increase annually on the 90,000 portion, and staying static at 10 for that duration of 5 years. They internally decided that that was insufficient and are proposing 100 of the starting range move from 90,000 annually to 114,445, if I remember correctly, and then 5% annual increases from there. Clearly, that's not what we decided. This was also not what the sheriff's staff, our police chiefs, our fire chief, internally to the city of Mountain Home, the conversations with the individual commissioners. This was a surprise to everybody. I think we have more work to do on this, and I think it would be beneficial for us to be at that meeting in our official capacity.
Mayor,
Councilwoman?
they have an agenda that they post like certain time slots. You know what time?
9:15 a.m.
Okay, I can make that if it's early.
We'll post, and who can make it, can make it. And, yeah, we understand. Outside jobs and things we have to take care of, but be there, be with us.
Mayor, if I could request as well that we iron out some methodology of recording that so we can post it too.
Our freemium server.
Any other final comments? If not, do I have a motion to go into executive session 74206, subsection 1, subsection A and F? Councilman Harjo?
Make a motion to enter executive session pursuant to Idaho Code section 74206, 1A and F.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo? Aye. Councilman Walker? Aye. Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Councilman Sanders?
Aye.
Oh.